Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are zooming in from today. I'm Kaylin with METALCON, and I am here with the incredible Thea Dudley. Thea will be doing a presentation today called Accounts Receivable and Cash Flow Assessing, shooting down the top 10 cash flow killers. Now, Thea was in person at METALCON 2024. We were so excited that this session did so well, we had to bring it back. So I'm very excited to say that we're having the same presentation, hopefully with a few little tweaks, and you guys will have some new and different questions going on throughout that webinar. I'm also very pleased to announce that coming up next on March 12th, 4 weeks from today, we will be having Breaking Gender Barriers, Working Smarter, Not Harder as Women in the Construction Workplace. That will be presented by Heidi Ellsworth, Leanne Slattery, Renee Ramey, and possibly a few additional surprise speakers. So keep your eyes on that and register for that at your earliest convenience. I am also very pleased to announce that the METALCON call for presentations is open. So if you have any topics you are interested in presenting or any new theories, new things you'd like to present, please submit your call for presentations. Please submit that presentation and we will be happy to review it with our advisory council. And most importantly, I'm very happy to say that Thea will be presenting at METALCON this year. She will be doing a 4-hour workshop on cash flow and accounts receivable. The exact title is TBD, and the exact content is currently being developed, and it's based on what you need, want, and desire most in the industry based on your present responses. So we're very excited. It's going to be the most up-to-date content we can provide. Also, make sure you register for that once registration opens. At the end of this webinar, you're going to be receiving a quick survey. Again, it's just to receive the credit that you may want or need to maintain your licensure in your state or with your association. If you'd prefer not to answer that, you can always email me directly, kaylin@metalcon.com, and we can get that credit to you immediately. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything along those lines, or if you want to comment to Thea about anything, please use the chat box in the webinar, and I'll read all pertinent questions out to her. And lastly, if you run into any technical issues or malfunctions, please feel free to reach out to me again. You can reach out to me in the chat box that is open, and we will be able to help you from there. So I am very happy to hand this over to our lovely speaker today, Thea.
Thank you. My gosh, that's a great buildup. I absolutely loved that. That you have such a great voice.
Thank you.
My screen up okay?
Not quite yet. Go ahead and just
Okay,
try that one more
let's
time.
go ahead and get that going.
There we
Okay.
go. We're
All
seeing
right.
it.
Okay, so as Kaylin said, we did this one at MetalCon last year, and we had so much fun with it. And it was a little bit tongue in cheek. We tried to build something into it that, I understand we're after lunch, and so people kind of get in that lull. So we took a few liberties and had a little fun with it. So for those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Thea Dudley. I spent a really long time in the construction industry, fiberglass, building materials at a manufacturer, subcontractor, contractor, and distributor level. So all areas of credit. Went ahead and had a couple of books come out and run a podcast and weekly or what was it? Once a month webinar. Anyway, let's jump into our topic today. So we're going to talk about what mistakes we make as contractors and subcontractors. And you don't see it as much at the distributor level. You really see it on that hands-on in the field contractor subcontractor. We spend so much time building up our business in the front end and getting sales that we don't stop and think about how that's jamming up cash flow. And you can't always rely on your distributors to carry you or to be patient with you, because as a credit manager for distribution, this sounds rough, but honey, I don't care what your problems are. I need to get paid too, because I'm a business with 401ks, everything that needs to be supplied. I got employees that want paid. So we're going to talk about how to alleviate some of those cash flow pressures you feel. This is interactive, so if you have a question, pop that into the chat box and Kaylin's going to look at that, read it, we'll deal with it then. And this way we can dive into whatever it is you want to get out of that particular question. So first mistake, not treating your entire order to cash process like a customer service driven collection vehicle. And I know that's a mouthful. And what I mean by that is, well, you know what? I'm going to let this clip show you exactly what I mean. So cozy in. Some of you have probably seen this before. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired. Listening. Okay. So you get the idea. Everything's going along great. It's going smoothly. And then your business picks up and you start adding jobs and you start adding people. And before you know it, stuff starts to get by you. Before you know it, your AR is out of control. You have no idea where your money's coming from. It's slowing down. Little bits and pieces are up. You don't even know if your invoicing is complete. So when we talk about that, does your team know how you go to market? When you look at how your processes work, does everybody know how your billing works? Does everybody know what your payment terms are? What exactly is happening in your back office? Is your invoicing on time and correct? When do you start collection calls? Do you start on day 1 or do you start on day 30? Or is it some squishy place in between? Or is it just, when somebody like me calls and says, hey, where's my money? Do you hold people internally and externally accountable? So are you holding your customers accountable to their end of it? Because if I send a crew out to do a job, I've got material and labor going out the door. I expect you to pay on time. As a customer, I want to hold them accountable. I also want my internal customers, so my employees, I want them to know, hey, this is how we go to market on this. I'm expecting you to help support the company line on this. Have those conversations with your customers. You don't have to be aggressive or mean, but you definitely have to be firm and outline it. We had a deal. I provided, materials and service in the time that you asked for it. I expect you to pay me the same way. And then is everybody's goal in the company aligned? If you've got salespeople out there that are just all about them and the commission, and you've got, crews that are, hey, if we get it done, we get it done. If you get credit people or billing people that are like, yeah, well, we're 2 weeks behind on billing, but that's cool. It's not cool. Is everybody's goal aligned? We're in business to make a profit. And to be able to do that, everything's got to go like clockwork. Everything's got to be on time. Because the longer it takes you to get your money, the more money you're giving up. Mistake number 2, not having a credit and collections policy. And you'd be surprised at how many companies don't have one. This is a lot of small to mid-sized companies don't have credit policies. It's, we kind of deal with it. We work it out. We make it happen. But if you don't take time to create and implement a policy and teach it to everybody, that's another point where you're really missing out. Just rolling with it's a great theory, but it doesn't work in practical application, and it leads to a lot of confusion. How do we go to business again? From the first slide, how do you go to business? Or how do you go to market? It is based on what is in your company policies. So some specific things about what that means. How exactly do you handle opening accounts? How do you qualify customers? How do you approve new customers and credit lines? How do you increase a credit line? And when we talk about jobs, and that's one big pushback I hear from a lot of contractors and subcontractors is, well, we don't really have credit lines the way a distributor does. We have proposals or contracts. Same difference. You're splitting hairs. You absolutely are going to have to determine how much of your company's resources or money, it's resources in materials and labor, employees. How much of that are you going to allot to any given company? Have you checked them out? Or is it just, hey, they showed up here, they picked me, I'm going to do the job, but you don't know anything about them? And those are things you want to watch out for. So how do you handle some of these things? Do you lien projects? Do you secure mechanics lien rights? You know, say you don't, your credit person doesn't approve a job. Is there an appeal process? Who do they go to? Who has final say? Do we have some sort of lever that we can pull? Or is it, hey, we're going to go ahead and do it. Don't let Thea know. Yeah, well, I'm going to find out. It'll be on the AR. So let's talk about what that chain of command is. And then does everybody understand? It goes back to, this is how you go to market. How are we selling? How are we holding our customers accountable? Number three, not having a digital system for your receivables. So we're gonna hammer the same themes over and over. You're gonna keep seeing a lot of the same things coming through, but they all relate to one another. If you don't have a centralized location for your customer data, whether that's contracts, proposals, invoices, credit applications, whatever you're looking at, that's what we're talking about. Customer collection files. Where do you go for your notes? Can everybody see them? Not having virtual files. The amount of companies that are still rocking paper and a metal filing cabinet, not that it's bad, it just limits. Everybody now is busy, you're on the road. You might be on a job site and you've got to look at something, you've got to call the office and ask them, hey, do you think you can pull this for me? Read it to me, see what it says. Can you take a picture of it? Why not just have everything on a virtual filing cabinet where you can get to it? Then you don't have to rely on anybody. Plus, you know where it is. No key performance indicators. You can't manage what you can't measure. So if you're not looking at it and you're not processing how long it takes for you to collect your money, what your DSO is, what you're even knowing your percents current, how much is in your 60, your 90, your 120, and why is it in 120? Are you aging out your retainage the same way you age out the rest of your AR? Have you pulled that slice out? How are you looking at this? And then what happens when you've got that, well, I've got it all in my head, or, well, our girl in the back or our person in the back, she has a handle on all of that. Well, that person might not be there one day, and you've got everything banking on, Matilda, who's been here for 100 years, but that's not healthy for a company. It's not healthy bringing anybody in. It's not healthy for your sales team. And making those decisions based on what's in Mildred's head is not going to help your company move forward. As you continue to grow, you can't rely on everybody locking that down somewhere where you have to go by memory. So creating those KPIs, taking a time, even they don't have to be over the top. They can be very, very concise, very just a couple bullet points. Here's our day sales outstanding. Here's our percents current. What's going on in here? Let's review it. Let's take a look at it. You know, who's our top 10 customers? Who's our top slowest customers? All the things you want to know. Mistake number 4, not reviewing your accounts on a consistent basis. So how do you know you're keeping all of your accounts information actually up to date and complete? People leave. What's their email? What's their current phone number? What's the current payment trends for those customers? Are you using credit reports? Or are you going strictly by, he's always paid us. It's more historical data. It's not really, hey, this is just historical with our company. You don't know what's going on with them, with other suppliers, with other manufacturers, whoever else they're buying from, whatever other trades are going on. What's going on the job? Are you watching to see if liens are being filed on certain jobs of theirs? What are you doing to keep on top of your customers? Because everybody pays you till they don't. Everybody does great. I hear, well, they started with me. I've known them for 30 years. It's great. They'd never not pay me. Honey, somebody's not going to pay you at some point. Everybody pays you till they don't. That's kind of the antithesis of it. It's, I don't have any money now. Well, we could have maybe seen this coming. So was there an owner officer change? All of these things you want to know about what's going on with the business. The same kind of things that other people check out on you are the same things you want to check out on whoever you're doing business with. And having done multiple jobs with them isn't always an indicator that they're still going to pay you. Bankruptcies are up to almost an all-time high now from where they plummeted during COVID. Nobody filed bankruptcy. So the last point of data was like 2019. Now, between 2023 and 2024, they have spiked dramatically. And every day I get a report of businesses that have filed bankruptcy, and it's phenomenal. So know who you're doing business with and keep tabs on them. Mistake number 5, your bad invoicing habits. Still pushing your invoices out through snail mail. Not exactly the most expeditious way to get to your customers. Why aren't you emailing them? Can your ERP system do it? A lot of contractors use QuickBooks. QuickBooks has the component to push those out. If you're not going digital with your invoices and then following up with a statement, you're missing an opportunity with the statement to remind people that they owe you money, and you're allowing the mail to dictate when you're going to get to the customer. I want it in there the same day. My billing should be done that day or the very next day. If it's not done by the very next day and you're stretching it out, and when I use the reference of 2 weeks, that's actually from a customer that, they're like, yeah, we get it within 2 weeks. And, it's like, no, we're gonna change the processes to make sure we get that billing done immediately. Because as a customer, if you can't bill me correctly and on time and it doesn't matter to you, then why does it matter if I get you paid a little bit late? Plus, you're giving me additional time. And everybody knows the trick that, well, I'm just going to date it to the day that we did it. So even though we did the work on the 1st and I know it's the 12th, we're going to date it the 1st. Well, you're putting it in the mail and it's still not getting there. You're already giving someone an extra 2 weeks. They're going to put that in their system for 30 days from the date they received it. So go digital, email it. Self-service portals are great. Customers can go in, pull their own statement, pull their own invoices. Dirty billing is another thing that we see a lot in construction with contractors and subcontractors. It's maybe somebody changed something on the job, the scope of work changed a little bit, the change orders didn't come in, or they picked a couple different options, or something happened and we did something to the pricing and we send it out incorrect. A lot of customers won't call you. Most people you want to believe are honest and they'll call you, but some won't, and they'll allow that billing to stand until you call and say, hey, have you paid this? Well, your invoice is incorrect. And, until we get a fresh one, I'm not going to adjust it. We're not going to pay it. So you're giving someone else extra time to do that. Sending your invoices late, I think we beat that into you already. And then not following your contract billing requirements. AIA has certain forms you have to use. There's certain structure, there's certain timing. Any contract instructions, required portals, like if you're working with a contractor, GC that's using Procore, Supply Pro, Bill.com, whatever they're using, if you don't know how to go in and take care of that through the portal, you're not going to get paid on time. And then you might get stuck at the next billing cycle, which then puts you out another 30 days. Although this clip was found very offensive in the first session, I'm going to go ahead and play it because I think it drives home the point.
Hire a contractor to build a stage. I don't want to paint with a broad brush here, but every single contractor in the world is a miserable, incompetent thief.
Even though I don't think that's true, stereotypes exist for a reason. And it only takes 1 or 2 bad apples to kind of color everybody else. So when you ask for, hey, I need payment up front, or I need a percentage down, you're looking at reasons customers are going to try to find to not pay you. And it doesn't matter whether it's you're dealing with homeowners or other contractors. Don't give anybody a reason not to pay you. Don't give anybody a reason to think you're a miserable, incompetent thief, because you're not following up quickly. You're not getting your billing on time. You're not resolving disputes timely. you're not providing monthly statements, and you're not giving them payment options. It's, we have, we don't take credit card. We just take checks. Well, you can mail it. Well, I'll send somebody to come by and get it. Yeah, we're in a digital world. If you are not working with your customers, I mean, Amazon ruined it for everybody. During COVID, when I couldn't get a package on the same day, I was livid, even though that wasn't the world I grew up in. So the world has changed significantly. We have to work really hard to keep up with it. Giving options for people to pay me. When I have someone on the phone and they're like, hey, can you take my credit card? The first thing that's out of my mouth is not, oh, I'm giving up 3%. You're going to have to evaluate that cost of money. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. But how you are able to give them options, check by phone, ACH, wire, credit card, any of those options. Portals enable them to be able to go and collect them, use it at their leisure when they're able to go in. They're doing their bills at, I don't know, 7 o'clock after dinner. They're able to go in and make those payments. So pay attention to what trends are happening and not give people reasons not to pay you. Make sure you're giving them every option available. So we talked about evaluating the cost of money, and this is one of those where when we talk about credit cards and the cost of them and how we don't want people, hey, I don't want to have to pay those different fees, and 3% is a lot. And I know that kind of sticks in everybody's craw. And when you try to pass that on, you get pushback from customers, and then they're, okay, fine, I'll just pay you by check. One of the biggest mistakes we make is not reviewing our merchant services agreement. And when you look at that, normally you sign up for, hey, you get with your merchant to accept a credit card, to the credit card acceptance companies. And you set it one time and then you never revisit it. You never go back and look at it. It gets off your radar, and you don't see when those fees start to uptick or they pass things on. It doesn't get a lot of play in the news, and it just never hits your radar. It just shows up as a line item on your financials every month. And then suddenly you're like, what's happening here? Why is this so out of control? Well, that's an opportunity for you to go back. I'm not saying you have to do it yearly, but if you have someone in your office that can, it's like, hey, I'm going to reach out to my merchant service provider. I'm going to sit down with them and, hey, let's go over this. How can we reduce these fees? What can we do? Is it the level that I'm taking? Is it card not present? Portals eliminate a lot of that, where you're able to go in and that money is captured there with the PCI compliancy. And they give you different triggers where if you're getting all of the information, address, double checking on the zip codes and everything, that gives you another way to kind of bring that down. So checking your merchant services and then shop it. I know it's a pain, but try a couple of different services. Ask them, hey, what are your rates? What are you charging? What can we do? How can you work with me? And then not evaluating the cost of mail time. Talked about definitely going in and saying, hey, let's email everything. If you're strictly going by mail, it doesn't matter. That cost is going to add up. Email's there immediately. Mail's going to take a few days. It may take 2 days, depending on where you are. It could take up to 7. You're trying to reduce the time that it's not in front of somebody. So payment portals versus snail mail coming back to you with their check. I want to try to get as many people off check. I want ACH. I'll take a credit card. Any option except short of, an otter pelt and some beads. I am definitely going to want to try to take the money through a portal. I want to take credit card if I possibly can. And then adding costs to your cash flow. If you're not cash flowing, you either have to borrow from your line of credit, which costs you money because you have to pay interest on that line of credit. Banks don't want to lend you money just so that they're not doing it for free. They are also trying to make a profit. So you have to do that borrowing to cover your costs, paying the finance charges to your suppliers if you're not cash flowing, and maybe you don't have a line of credit that you can borrow from, or the line of credit is maxed out. Losing discount because you're not able to take advantage of that, and then paying slow, and then getting the finance charge. And we don't charge finance charges as subcontractors and contractors. Typically, we will carry people for free. We're just always so happy where it's like, oh my gosh, the money finally made it, that we don't stop and think, holy cow, how much did this really cost me? So you have to watch that cost of evaluating money and what you're leaving on the table, what not. The cost of a credit card to take it immediately versus how long it took for the check to get to me. If someone says they're going to write me a check, I may or may not see it for, 4 or 5 days. They might not write it right then. But if I could get the credit card from them, what's that cost of money? Did I sit on it or was I able to turn it into something right away? So be aware of what that costs you. Mistake number 8 is not staying on top of your accounts receivable. Not everybody thinks collecting money is cool. I personally like it. I don't have a problem with it. It can be uncomfortable. Salespeople notoriously are not awesome at this. They're uncomfortable with that line of asking for the sale and asking for the money. Company owners tend to not be as good at asking for money. They get a little tongue-tied with, I don't want them to think I need the money. It's like, I've worked for some huge corporations and we needed our money. We had a deal. I expect you to pay on time. So somebody in your organization, preferably not the owner or not the CFO or company president, you want somebody in that organization that is staying on top of that AR, that's tracking the accounts receivable, that's taking action on them. One of the biggest mistakes we make is that we hold on to stuff for way too long. It sits on there in your 120 day and you're like, well, that's so-and-so, gosh, I'm going to give them another week. I'm going to give them another week. And then before you know it, 2 weeks turns into 2 months and turns into 4 months. And we still haven't got the money collected. And you can only threaten somebody so much before they just get tone deaf. It's like yelling at your kids with no repercussions. If you don't follow up on the commitment, it's like, hey, listen, we've been doing this dance for a little bit. I'm really going to need you to get that payment in here, even if it's a good faith payment, or we have to move the file along. I try to never threaten anybody with, or I'm going to sue you or turn you to collections. I want to keep my options open just in case, but I am going to have to do something with the file. And sometimes people ask, sometimes they don't. What does that mean? It's like, well, I don't know. We might have to send it to collections. We might have to lien the project. I don't know, but we can't keep doing this. So make sure that if you are staying on top of them, you are actually following up on those commitments. If they tell you they're going to call you on Friday, call them Friday before you leave for the office, which leads us to not being persistent in your collection action. If I tell you I'm going to send you a check on Tuesday and you don't get it by, let's say, Thursday or Friday, why aren't you calling me asking me, hey, where's your money? Gosh, and you don't have to say, hey, you didn't put this check in the mail. I'm totally accusing you of being a thief or a liar. Maybe you did put it in the mail. Can I get a check copy? Can I get a check number? What does this look, when did you send it? Can you tell me the amount you sent for? Can you give me, can you give me any other details? It hasn't made it. If it still hasn't made it after a few more days, hey, there's a lot of theft in the mail these days. It's been on the news for the past several years, check washing, check fraud, all very, very prevalent out there. I'm just looking out so that neither of us get hurt. So maybe you put a stop payment on that and I take a credit card today. You want to keep pushing and giving options. I don't think everybody has to be quite this aggressive, but I do like where his head's at on this one.
Foreman, who did you, sir? Wait a minute, what the hell? Getting real tired of you tucking me, man. Yeah? Oh my God. Yeah. Getting really tired. Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh? Yeah. How much you pay for that fake mustache? $2.99. Why should you just gotta give me more time? Don't make a fool out of me, man. Don't make a fool out of me. I want my money. I want my money, man.
This is also where having somebody with a little collection experience, a little credit manager experience can help you out. Not that there hasn't been times I didn't want to be Stewie, but the law frowns on it, and typically my beat up customer can't pay me quite as fast. But you've got to know how to deal with difficult customers. You've got to be prepared for the pushback, and you've got to be prepared with solutions. So getting on top of that, staying on top of that, having those honest conversations, again, you don't have to be aggressive, mean, or snotty, but just lay it out there and be honest. Hey, you've told me 3 times you're going to mail a check and it hasn't happened. What's it going to take to make that happen? Do I need to send a salesman by there? Do I need to come by and grab the check? Can I take a credit card over the phone? Can I give you the ACH for this? Can I direct you to the portal? What can we do to get this paid? Sometimes you have to call people on their stuff where you've made several promises, honey, it's not coming to fruition. So staying on top of that, going over those accounts with your salespeople, with your leadership team, because you're looking at that risk reward strategy. If you don't know, if say your company president, your owner, if you guys don't know exactly where your money is, that's a problem. Going over that aging keeps it foremost in everyone's mind, and then nobody's surprised if you have to lean a job or pull the trigger on something. Mistake number 9, not training your sales team to ask for the money and also learn how to protect it. Liens in our industry, securing your mechanics liens or filing the lien feels like a dirty word to us. If you say, well, we might have to lien the project, everybody freaks out. Nobody freaked out when they said, hey, we're going to use, we can use a mechanics lien or preliminary lien notice to secure the job. That's a way that we can safely do this project. Everybody's on board with that until I say, well, now we might have to pull the trigger. Well, Thea, I don't want to do that. We're never going to get another job from him again. He's not going to give me any more work. Dude, you're not getting paid for the work that you just did. I'm not sure why you're stressed out about this. I am not sure why this is a problem. This is a normal course of business. It's not personal against you. It's not personal against this company, but we need paid. And who knows, that conversation with your customer might lead to, yeah, I'm struggling getting paid too. Now we're both going to go and push the envelope. Now they're fighting more than just one person. But you've got to teach people how to have that conversation. Even if you put a cheat sheet together of here's why we secure our lien rights. Here's what they mean. Serving a preliminary lien notice it's painless. It doesn't get recorded anywhere. It's just notifying everybody on the project that's above me that I'm out here and I'm going to want to get paid. So I know my rights, I've secured them. It's easy. It's easy to have that conversation if you tell the salesman, hey, just letting you know, this is what we're doing. If the salesman's not totally comfortable with it, go with them. I don't have a problem going with a salesperson and going, hey, tag me in. I'll have the conversation. You can watch how I do it the same way I watch how you do sales. And let's get you a little bit more comfortable with having these conversations because this is part of just an everyday thing. And then collecting that money. I might need to call up and go, hey, Bert, I need you to go out there and have a conversation with this customer. They're not returning my calls. They're not responding to any of my emails or texts or anything. I'm about to send them to collections. What are we going to do here? Because if I send them to collections, that bridge is just blown up. It's really hard to come back from that. Can you go out there and have a conversation and just ask them, hey, what's going on? And typically, if you haven't worked with a salesman on it or they haven't had somebody coach them through it, it's really uncomfortable for them. They're not geared to be the bad guy. They're not geared to say, hey, where's our money? You can always use that AR or credit person. Just, hey, you know what? You got to call her. She's freaking out. She's on me. I just need you to know this is the direction it's going. And I really want to preserve this relationship. How can we move forward? Can you give her a call? Let me get her on the phone. You've got to train your salespeople to stand up for the side of the company. This is the part of the company that pays their bills. So keep that in mind. Little simple training for sales will definitely help get that money in. Mistake number 10, allowing the excuses. So stop making it okay to not pay you. And there are lots of excuses out there. What is out there is ODU for services or materials rendered. With all the ways we have to communicate, there is no excuse for somebody not returning my call, my text, my email. There is absolutely no reason. And you've got to be persistent. Even if you have to go to the president of that company reach who you need to get paid. And if you're looking at some of these contracts that are pay when paid or pay if paid, hey, Thea, I'm waiting on a payment. That's not what we agreed to. If you're looking at a contract and it has pay when paid in there, you need to cross that off. That's kind of telling. That company is pushing the burden off on you to finance this project. That is not okay. And I can hear the gasp of, well, but we'll lose the project. I can tell you I've never lost a contract where I crossed that out of a customer I wanted to keep. If it's somebody that is coming to the table and will sit there and negotiate with you, there's nothing wrong with saying we're not doing pay when pay, or, God forbid, pay if paid. I'm not privy to what you did in your original contract. That's what you agreed on, and hopefully you checked out who you're doing business with. Me, as the company lending you money in the form of product or services, I checked you out. Here's what I'm willing to do. So, if I need to speak to the owner, the president, whoever, I'm going to go to that person to try to get this worked out. I made a list of excuses here of, not locking in your payment dates, not following up, not securing your lien rights. But there's a couple in there. We're talking about the over owner ride, or what we call FOB or FOS accounts, friend to boss or friend to sales. Friends pay you. Friends don't get abusive and stretch you out for 180 days. Friends will actually show up the same way that you showed up if we're truly friends. Stop making it okay for people not to pay you. Stop making it okay for people to stretch you out where, oh, I know that guy. Well, if you know me, then pay me. And if you really know me, then you're going to know I will lien your project and I will come and collect that money. We had an agreement. Which brings us to a bonus round. For contractors and subcontractors, not having a relationship with your supplier's credit manager is a huge mistake. This is very dear to my heart as a credit manager, having that distributor supplier background. I can't emphasize to you enough how important this is. You can have a relationship with your sales rep, and they're great, and they can get you deals and they can get deliveries there, but the credit manager can help you in ways you haven't even thought of. We can help educate you on preliminary lien notices, liens, joint checks. How can we work together? Maybe you're working with a customer, you're like, yeah, I haven't really done anything with him before, but I really want the job. I don't have a problem running a credit report on him and saying, okay, listen, Fred, this is what I see. How about we approach it like this? Let's work together on this because I want you to be successful. If you have questions on how to collect your money, if you have questions on looking at a contract, those are all things that I live for those things. We can help you. We can help you with all those questions. And if you hit a snag with a payment, yeah, we can help you with that too. It's like, hey, Thea, this is what's going on this month. I'm going to need X number of days. Can you work with me? If I know you and we've been working together, I don't mind doing you a favor. Now, when I say a favor, let's not make it a habit of not paying me on time. But I understand life happens and, things kind of get a little bunchy. So if that happens, let's work together. So definitely make friends with your supplier's credit manager. Some closing words. Having a proactive AR management program will definitely increase your cash flow. Proactivity is always cheaper than reaction. So doing that work up front, checking out who you're doing business with, securing your lien rights, considering doing a joint check, getting down deposits, whatever it is that you need to do to be proactive in your business, always cheaper than carrying someone and trying to sue them later. And collecting your money is everybody in your company's job. Everybody knows where, yes, I think sales are amazing, but we can't work without each other. Without credit, they're helping back the sale and getting the money collected. The sale is just a sale. And that, Kaylin, brings us to the end of our time. I know I talk very fast. I'm sure there are some things that I left out. I'm freezing in this room, so.
So let's open it up to if anyone has any last minute questions as we're ending this session. So we did have a few that came in that were, very minor, just questions about the screen. So if anyone has questions regarding credit processing, ensuring you receive your money, please make sure that you submit those questions into either the chat box or that Q&A section now. And I'm going to start doing our outro just in case we don't see any, but I'll make sure to stop if any do come through. So I want to thank everyone who has joined us today for today's METALCON Online. We are so excited that you were able to be here with us. And I want to take a very prominent moment to thank Thea for being here with us and for being such a strong individual within the world of crediting. We do have one question, and I am happy to answer that one. The recording will be available immediately at the end of today. So it will be available within 3 hours, and it will be available on the youtube.com METALCON page. So just go to youtube.com and search METALCON. It will be that first item available. So we are so excited about that. We're so excited to have you coming back for METALCON 2025, which is going to be amazing. We hope to see everyone here at METALCON. And even more importantly, we hope to see you all at the 4-hour workshop Thea will be giving at METALCON this year.
Well, who doesn't want to have 4 hours of credit and collections? I just heard everybody go, ugh.
Well, it's gonna be about more. And Thea's got such a great personality. It's gonna come out, and it's very important, depending on your business, to get that training. So there are no further questions. So I will let you all have the rest of your day back. Thea, again, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.